It's hard not to think about what I watched and not have this reaction. Those were images that frankly kept me up at night, that I saw over and over and over.
When you were asked about it in June of 2016.
Judge Amber Wolf, presiding over the 30th District Court in Kentucky, has garnered a reputation for her compassionate and empathetic approach, qualities that are often in short supply in the typically austere legal system. On this particular day, she demonstrates just how far she is willing to go to show kindness to those who appear before her. In her courtroom stands James Rare, a 24-year-old man from Kentucky who is facing serious charges of burglary. He and his wife, Ashley, were apprehended after they broke into a warehouse and stole 6 flat-screen TVs. Complicating their legal situation is the fact that the couple recently welcomed a baby boy into the world. But because James has been in custody and they are co-defendants, a no-contact order is in place between them. This legal restriction has prevented James from meeting his newborn son, adding a layer of personal anguish to his legal troubles. As Judge Wolf wraps up James's hearing, preparing to transition to Ashley's case, she notices something that tugs at her heartstrings. Ashley, seated in the gallery, is holding up their baby, hoping her husband might catch a glimpse of his child as he exits the courtroom. The judge realizes that this young father has not yet had the chance to see or hold his newborn son, a realization that touches her deeply. Taking swift action, Judge Wolf decides to intervene in a way that blends her judicial duties with a profound sense of humanity. She asks Ashley to come forward with the baby and speaks to her softly, ensuring she understands the gravity of what is about to happen. Then, she calls James back into the courtroom. Before proceeding, Judge Wolf gives him strict instructions, emphasizing the temporary and exceptional nature of what she is allowing. She clarifies the situation carefully. I know there's a no-contact order in place between you and Mrs. Rare, one that I issued myself. I'm not changing that order, but I'm making a temporary exception right here, in front of everyone, so you can meet your son. As the moment unfolds, Ashley gently hands the tiny infant to James, who takes his son into his arms for the first time. The courtroom, typically a place of tension and formality, is suddenly filled with tenderness as James cradles the baby with great care. Ashley, overwhelmed by the emotion of the moment, wipes tears from her eyes. Judge Wolf, too, finds herself moved to tears as she quietly watches the heartwarming scene. With a brief nod, she tells James that she will see him at his next court date, and the courtroom returns to its usual rhythm. While Judge Wolf's tears are born out of a joyful and touching moment, another judge, Jennifer Darrow, finds herself on the brink of tears for a very different reason, a reason rooted in tragedy and heartbreak. Judge Darrow presides over the sentencing hearing of Darrell Brooks in Waukesha County Circuit Court, Wisconsin. The hearing follows a trial marked by intense emotions and widespread public interest. Brooks, who chose to represent himself, faced over 76 charges, including 6 counts of intentional homicide, after he drove his SUV through a Christmas parade in Waukesha. The devastating incident resulted in the deaths of 6 individuals, the youngest being an 8-year-old child, and left dozens of others injured. Despite Brooks's claims that he sounded his vehicle's horn to warn spectators, the jury found him guilty on all counts. As Judge Darrow prepares to sentence Brooks, she does not hold back in expressing her feelings about the case. She meticulously outlines the reasons why she rejected Brooks's defense, making it clear that she believes he fully understood the consequences of his actions. There were many police vehicles at these intersections with their lights flashing, she states. There's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Brooks knew a parade was taking place. It was not yet dark. It was dusk, making it even more evident what was happening around him. As she continues her impassioned address, Brooks sits in the courtroom, fanning himself nonchalantly with a file folder. But as Judge Darrow speaks about the 11 members of the Waukesha South Band who were struck by Brooks's vehicle, she begins to lose her composure. The images and testimonies from the trial, which have haunted her nights, come flooding back, and she struggles to hold back tears. "It's hard not to think about what I saw and not have this reaction," Judge Darrow says, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "Those were images that kept me up at night. I saw them over and over again." She pauses, reaching for a tissue to wipe away her tears as she continues to speak about the courage of the band director who testified during the trial. Her voice breaks once more as she describes the director's bravery in identifying her students, a task that clearly took an emotional toll on her. While Judge Darrow's distress is evident, Brooks remains emotionless, indifferent to the pain he has caused. His lack of remorse is further highlighted as he begins to interrupt the judge's sentencing. Despite her warnings, Brooks continues to argue
that you had contact with her on the 20th. There was some physical. Mr. Brooks, this is my time. You need to not interrupt. Mr. Brooks,
the state
you need to stop.
said specifically wrote you, Your Honor.
Mr.
And
Brooks,
now you want to sit up here.
Do not interrupt me
you,
or you will be removed to the other
and now
courtroom.
you want to sit up here.
Stop.
prompting Judge Darrow to order his removal from the courtroom. Eventually, he is escorted out by sheriff's deputies. Brooks is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a fitting punishment for the heinous crimes he committed. The emotional weight of such cases is not lost on the judges who preside over them. Judge Robert Chastain, for instance, struggles to maintain his composure as he sentences Bo Dukes for his role in the concealment of Tara Grinstead's death. Grinstead, a beloved teacher and former beauty queen from Irwin County, disappeared in 2005. Although her body was never found, it is believed that she was murdered. Dukes, who confessed in 2017 to helping dispose of Grinstead's body, has finally been brought to justice, much to the relief of her grieving family. As Judge Chastain begins the sentencing hearing, he acknowledges the long and painful journey that Grinstead's family has endured in their search for answers. His voice wavers as he addresses the courtroom, making it clear that this case has deeply affected him. "Nothing that I do here is going to relieve the pain that the family has endured all these years," he says, fidgeting with items on his desk as he tries to find the right words. Judge Chastain's emotions become more apparent as he continues. The weight of the prolonged suffering faced by Grinstead's family, compounded by the senselessness of the crime, takes its toll. Unable to hold back his tears any longer, the judge breaks down, his voice choked with sorrow.
We all have. But that would have been the time to come forward.
After composing himself, he delivers a maximum sentence of 25 years to Bo Dukes, ensuring some measure of justice for Tara's family. Lastly, we witness the emotional toll that repeated exposure to tragic cases can take on judges like William Atkinson. In a court session, he sentences David Meyer for 2 counts of homicide by vehicle while under the influence of alcohol. Meyer's reckless actions claimed the lives of Rebecca and Raya Pennenberg, a mother and daughter who were simply out for a walk when they were struck by his car. As Judge Atkinson addresses the court, it is evident that the case has deeply affected him. His voice cracks as he imagines the grief of the Pennenberg family, and he openly weeps, struggling to maintain his composure. His words, filled with empathy and sorrow, resonate throughout the courtroom as he tries to convey the profound loss suffered by the victims' loved ones. Meyer expresses his regret, but Judge Atkinson, unconvinced by his show of remorse, sentences him to 10 years in prison, followed by 10 years of extended supervision.
I recognize the pain. I can only imagine if my wife, my daughter, did not come home one night.
The judge's tears and the gravity of his words serve as a reminder of the immense responsibility that judges bear in the pursuit of justice. That is all about today's video. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to it and press the bell icon so you will be notified by each new video we upload.